subscribe on all of our channels, YouTube, Periscope, and iTunes. If you're on YouTube, you hit that like button and subscribe. iTunes, please leave a rating and review. Also, visit us on the sportscast.net for all of the up-to-date sports news. If you have an iPhone, you can now download our app. This episode is brought to you by Zach White, Realtor, LAH Homewood in Birmingham, Alabama. Many of you know Zach as someone who's actively been helping kids learn and life lessons through Soccer Shots, Wish to Enrich, and Iron Kids Ministries. Well, now Zach has a way to serve others through LAH Real Estate. If you or someone you know is looking for a home or needing to sell, Zach at 205 381 7050. I'm your host, over the hill powerlifter and 2003 Alabama grad, Justin Riley. With me, as always, is an Alabama legend, all SEC linebacker, two-time author, and when Ric Flair said to be the man, woo, you got to beat the man, he is that man, Marvin Constant.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Another episode. Justin, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure as always. Let's get to work.
Oh, man, and I can't be more excited. We got a good one here tonight, folks, as all our shows are. Marvin, last week we visited with Alabama legends who were the men behind the muscle. Now we finally get to shift to the quarterback position. Can you please introduce our guest?
Oh, tonight we have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. He actually played a pivotal role in turning a season around. Went on to do some amazing things before he decided to leave the game of football. But in the meantime, the body of work was solid. Ladies and gentlemen, the man himself, Mr. Spencer Pennington.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for letting me be on the show. Pleasure to be here.
I just got one quick question. Did you say you live in Arkansas?
No, I don't live in Arkansas. I hunt ducks in Arkansas quite a bit. That's what this is about. This is not my best Fitzpatrick impersonation, but I'm a duck guide, and this actually does help you keep warm during the wintertime. It gets fairly cold up there.
The Duck Dynasty look, that's what you got going?
Duck Dynasty, man, and, if you're going to kill ducks, you got to go to Arkansas. Fortunately, we've got a good place there, so.
Well, I was just going to tell you to be careful down there, man. They don't like people from Alabama. My freshman year, half of our team got food poisoning at the team hotel in Arkansas. Needless to say, we went on to get beat, 41-7 the next day? So be careful down there. They're not too fun of the tide down there.
Man, hey, dude, I keep it down low, man. I got a camo truck, the whole deal, man. I don't even let them know where I'm from. So
smart man.
Speaking of that, Spencer, we were talking before the show started about introducing a camo line. Marvin, maybe you could use him as a model for that camo line for your fitness wear. I think we could work something out, right?
Yeah, hey, I'd be glad to do it, man. Anything Marvin's attached to is going to turn to gold anyway. And I'll tell you this much. If I look like he does in a couple of years when I'm his age, I'd be happy to do it. And so I got a few days in the gym before I can start modeling anything, but I'd be glad to help out in any way.
Hey, well, we're going to get this project rolling. Hey, trust and believe, a phone call will be made first thing in the morning.
Good deal.
Hey, speaking of Ryan Fitzpatrick, big news today. We'll touch on this a little bit. He is now the backup because Tua Tagovailoa is the man now in Miami. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Marvin, I'll jump in, man. Obviously his career at Alabama was just unbelievable. The guy is the best thrower of the football that I've ever seen, and I've said that that's from the NFL level. Compared to anybody that I played with or against. I mean, just the accuracy, especially on the deep balls, the guy's unbelievable. And, just the knowledge and you hear about the way he grew up and all of his buddies after a game would want to be going and hanging out. And he would come home on a Friday night and watch film with his dad and then want to go to the field and work on a throw. And it's just something that, it's not just something he does, it's a lifestyle. And I think that he's getting the rewards from that. And Fitzpatrick's had a great year so far. I think we would all agree. But, man, when you got a talent like that, if he's ready to go, health-wise, put him in. Why not?
I would definitely say he's definitely reaping the benefits of his hard work. One of the things that impressed me most about him was a play that he actually did in that game. If you notice, he rolled out yesterday to the left. It was similar to the same motion that he rolled out on the play that he got hurt on. And he got rid of the ball in a timely manner, and he looked extremely comfortable doing it. For a lot of people, when you're coming back from an injury, when you find yourself in a position similar to the one where you get hurt, it kind of makes you a little timid. It kind of slows you down. It makes you think, should I do this? Should I do that? But for him, he looked extremely comfortable the entire time. Rolled out to the left, the exact same rollout motion as on the play when he actually got hurt. Got the ball off, great throw. I was actually extremely happy and so pleased for him.
Yeah, you bring up a very good point there. Yeah, that is the exact type of play where he suffered the injury. And as you know, if you suffer an injury, coming back, you're pretty timid, when trying to get your footing again. But it looks like he wasn't timid at all. He just went straight to it, and he was all about getting business done. And it's just amazing what he's done during this entire time, where at one point we questioned, would he ever play again? And man, he's right. He's right in the forefront of things, and he's getting the reward for all the hard work he's put in. And you couldn't ask for a better guy character wise. Like you said, Spencer, Fitzpatrick has put in a nice body of work this year. He was winning. The team was actually doing pretty well, and then they yanked him. So, do you think that maybe this really is to his time, or do you think maybe they're kind of rushing into things, guys, or is it just what it meant to be?
Personally, man, at that level, when you've got a guy that's been in the league as long as Fitzpatrick has, if you're going to make the decision to pull him, that better mean that you are prepared for Tua to be your starter, because a lot of times there's just different dynamics with different quarterbacks. The team responds in different ways, and to bring a guy in after they've already had some early season success, and a lot of people weren't expecting that out of Miami. To bring Tua in, I think they're ready to hand the keys over to the Bentley and let him drive it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I was actually shocked that they made the announcement that he's going to be the starting quarterback, because, again, Fitzpatrick has actually been doing a pretty solid job for him so far this year. So when I seen that actually come across the ticker, I was like, whoa. So that must mean that Tua was doing something pretty impressive in practice on a regular basis for them to start him over Fitzpatrick, who's been doing an amazing job so far.
Spoke about Tua's character, but also if you watched Fitzpatrick Sunday, he looked like Tua's biggest fan on the sideline. He was hyping the crowd up. He was behind him. He was rallying him. And now he's making comments where he's saying, you know what, I consider a privilege to be able to pay it forward. And he said nothing but positive. He's not hanging his head. He sees it as a blessing. And that's just something that's rare these days.
Justin,
no doubt.
Can I be honest with you, though?
You're always honest. Please don't stop now.
I would much rather be making $5 or $6 million a year being a backup than out there getting
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Hey, yeah, as a competitor, Marvin, this, man. It's always tough, right? To see, to have to come to the realization that either you believe somebody's better than you are, or to come to the realization that an organization believes somebody else is better than you are. And especially for a guy, he's been in the league for what? 16, 17 years? The guy's been around the block. He's got a lot of experience. And let me tell you something. I'll be the first one in line to sign up to hold a clipboard for $5 million a year. Matter of fact, there's not much I wouldn't do for $5 million a year, gentlemen.
Exactly. After 15 years in the league, I feel like I've accomplished enough. So if you're going to give me the charity of paying me all those millions to hold a clipboard and mentor, sign me up.
Agreed.
But yeah, I could be more excited for Tua. Class act, like I said. And how can you not cheer for the guy? So really excited for him. But this hop into the next topic, for Alabama fans and you former players, this is a sacred week. It is Tennessee Week, or better known as the third Saturday in October. Spencer, we'll start with you. What does this game mean to you?
Yeah, I had the privilege. My brother Jeremy played at Alabama from 92 to 96. So, man, from the time I was 8 years old, he was being recruited. I was brought up every weekend going and watching him play, under Coach Stallings, and they had a ton of success there. And, when I got to I think it's every kid's dream that is a football player to want to be the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama. And especially if you grow up in this state. And, when it gets this time of year, it's time to strap it on, and it doesn't matter what the records are. While I was at Alabama, unfortunately, we had some down years, but still, you can throw that out the window when it comes to this game specifically. I mean, just as Auburn and Tennessee, when Marvin was there, when I was there, it was kind of a back and forth situation with wins and losses, and there were houses divided, and we've had a lot more success lately. And I think that people forget what that rivalry used to look like and how competitive it actually was. But man, no doubt, I'm excited as a former player. I can't wait to watch Saturday. Neyland Stadium, I'll just tell you right now, from a player's perspective. Well, you know what? It's old, but I'll tell you the truth. That's the only stadium. First of all, that's the loudest stadium I ever played in. Secondly, from the time I got there for warm-ups, I had the worst headache because of the noise and the crowd. And honestly, there were points and times during that game that I had to repeat the play 2 or 3 different times in the huddle because they were literally reading my mouth because you couldn't hear any tone or anything verbally. And, it's a close game. We wound up getting beat 17-14 that day. But, man, what an environment, And, we got Coach Pruitt there now and with Alabama ties, and that adds another, layer to this thing. And I just can't wait to watch the game, guys.
I am always excited for this week. I have thoroughly enjoyed the way we've dominated Tennessee over the years as of late. Anybody knows anything about Tennessee football, when you go back to even when I was in school, Tennessee, 1998 national champions. I mean, a team loaded with all pros from Al Wilson to Albert Haynesworth to John Henderson to the Jamal Lewises, the Travis Henrys. I mean, Cedric Wilson's, the Dante Stallworths, the Peerless Prices, the Dwayne Goodrich's, the list goes on. So to be a part of that rivalry and actually have one of the best defensive games between both sides ever, because against Tennessee in 99, 17 tackles and a sack, one of the best defensive games, in that series. So, to be able to look at the fact of putting in that level of work against that level of competition, because again, when you're playing against Jamal Lewis and Travis Henry, when they're rotating every 2 plays, you're talking about 2 first-round running backs. That was not an easy job. Then you're chasing Cedric Wilson in the slot with Dante Stallworth rotate in the slot. You're talking about a lot of work. So people will never understand the level of work that it takes to play against a team like that. I'm happy to see Jeremy getting that team back to a point to where they're competitive week in and week out. But I'm going to say roll tide and let's get to work.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is definitely one of the most special rivalries I've ever witnessed. And the funny thing about it is this actually the oldest rivalry out there. Matter of fact, older than us playing Auburn. And it's lost a little bit of its luster just because of the way Tennessee has been playing, but it still means a lot. Real quick, Spencer, do you have a special Tennessee moment? And then Marvin, if you have one, please share it too.
Man, I guess, like I said, unfortunately, while I was there from 01 to 05, we had a great year in 02 and got to enjoy going to the locker room and getting the cigar and the whole deal. Unfortunately, I had to buy cigars after my time at Alabama, but to enjoy those. But that's a cool tradition, and just the chance to play there at that historic field, and again, you grow up dreaming about opportunities like that, and for it to actually come to fruition after all the years of ball and playing and to run out on the field and knowing, hey man, it's up to me. That's a really cool feeling.
Well, for me personally, I didn't play special teams. I was starting middle linebacker. I had one job, go tackle people. That was it. I didn't play special teams. So the guy on the punt team who I was backing up, I was a backup. He gets hurt. So coach sends me out there on the punt team against Tennessee. I realized real quickly why the last fella got hurt. And I look over to coach and I start tapping my helmet, telling him to get somebody to come in here for me. I line up at tackle. On one side is Albert Haynesworth. The other side is John Henderson. all I can do is buckle up because I know the both of them are about to load up and try to kill me. Could you imagine being hit by Albert Hainsworth and John Henderson at the same time? Yeah, it was not fun. And I told Coach, if you want me tackling Jamal Lewis and Travis Henry, I'm not going back out there on another punt.
Wow.
How was your insurance policy then, Marvin? That's some pretty big dudes.
Not enough, man. You got to think about it. John Henderson was what, 6'8", 335. Albert Hainsworth,
Yeah.
6'6", 340.
God.
I'm not built for that.
Who is? My goodness.
The Big Show in WWE.
Exactly.
All right, let's shift the focus on your career, Spencer. Matter of fact, let's talk about the 2004 season. You were, I guess, like third string on the depth chart. We started out 3-0. We were hot, but then Brody went down. Things weren't working out with Mark Gillen, and then all of a sudden, Coach Shula calls your number. Can you tell us about that moment?
Yeah, man. Going the previous year, I had a really bad injury playing against Georgia, and I actually had right reconstructive shoulder surgery and left knee surgery the following day, the following Sunday. And, when I came back, Mark Gillen had transferred in, and I, was still recovering and working to get back. And, I would be telling you not the full truth if I didn't say that I wasn't too happy about being dropped down because of an injury. Just because I felt like my body of work at least deserved to be a backup, But with that being said, man, I'm a man of faith. I know that the Lord had a plan for me and my time there. And I knew that I was just going to keep working hard and an opportunity would present itself. And it did. And, we kind of rallied. It's Alabama fans right now, Marvin, you'll get this, man. We're kind of spoiled, right? Like if we have a 10 or 11 win season, that's no longer good enough. And
Right.
I try to remind people, hey, there was a point in time when we were really glad to go to the Music City Bowl.
Right.
And we should be thankful for these times that we're in, man. And, we were able to go to a bowl again after coming off of, 2 years of having to go and play in Hawaii, which is not the worst place in the world to go. But, when it comes to bowl games, being on probation and everything, it was difficult. But I'll never forget those times. I made lifelong friends, man. I love Alabama. I love Alabama football. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity and the blessing to be able to play there and the opportunities it's provided me after football.
So I had to ask, what was it like having your name called for the first time over the speakers at Bryant-Denny Stadium?
Well, oddly enough, Brody got hurt. First time I ever had any meaningful playing time was against Arkansas. It was about a minute and 45 seconds left before halftime. Brody gets hurt, and Franchione looks at me and he's like, "What are you doing? Get your helmet." And I said, "All right." And I couldn't find it, dude. Like, I was used to wearing the ball cap and calling and signaling in the plays. And so I found my helmet, no mouthpiece. This is a little disturbing. I literally looked at one of our fullbacks and I said, "Let me borrow your mouthpiece." He ripped it off his helmet, gave it to me. And, so we go out there. I'm obviously very, very nervous. And first down handoff, second down handoff, third down, we ran deuce right, 212F flat. And I'll never forget the play. First time I threw a ball, we hit a 10-yard out route and tied it up at halftime, 10-10. And then Brody miraculously was like, a character in the Bible and was raised from the dead and came back. And I went back and I put the hat on the rest of the game. So, but man, to hear that, to know that your mom and dad and your brother and family and people back home and all the people that supported you and all the time and effort it takes to get boys to a game. I mean, I'm at a ball field right now, as you can see behind me. I'm about to go watch my son play. And dude, it was great. I'll never forget it.
Cool. Well, you were thrust into the spotlight. Who invested in you to help you with that sudden transition back in 2004?
I think just a good mom and dad, good quality raising, You know, teaching right, wrong. There's no gray areas in this world, and always just trying to handle things, you know, with the utmost respect. And obviously, I respected the position. You know, the truth is, guys, whether you want to admit it or not, there's people that don't know who our governor is in the state of Alabama, but they know who the starting quarterback is in the state of Alabama. You know, so I went from kind of being, you know, behind the scenes to on the forefront of things, and I had to work on my articulation a little bit for interviews and all the stuff that comes along with that, man. But, you know, truthfully, I think that everything in life prepares you for your next step, man. And like I said, man, I had a great raising. I'd been around football my whole life. And Brody and I, you know, still best friends. We were roommates on the road. So to have him in the room with me the night before and going over plays and just him instilling the wisdom that he had into me, you know, it was a cool thing. And I don't think that anybody, you know, even though you look at Mac Jones and Tua and those guys, I don't think anybody's ever ready for that. It's just, man, you don't even have time to think. It's jump in and hold on and hope you don't fall off.
You know, Marvin mentioned earlier when he was introducing you about how that year we went from disaster to a bowl game, and you're a huge part of that. You know, you rallied the team around you. You and Ken Darby, y'all, both of y'all really stood out to me that year. So, how were you able to rally everybody in that time where it looked like everything was just going wrong?
Man, I was more of a lead by example, more so than a rah-rah guy. And, you know, I think that for like my son and kids that I talk to these days, people watch what you do, even if it's at practice, even if it's just in the weight room, the way you go about your business, the way you handle things, you know, they know what I call a guy that's got a little bit of dog in him, you know, and is not going to give up. They're not going to spit the bit when times get tough, you know. And I feel like, you know, Brody told me one time, and I take this as a compliment. He said, man, I don't know if you are dumb or you're the toughest guy that I know, but you were just silly enough to keep getting up. And that's the truth, man. I was just silly enough and hard-headed enough that I was going to keep getting up, and no matter the score, no matter what our record was. And I think that people, and quite honestly, I think America needs more of that these days to just, you know, do things the right way. I think that came across. And then, man, I'm a competitor. Listen, I still love to compete. I won't let my son beat me in pickup stick. Like, he's going to have to earn that. I still remember the first time I ever beat my dad in one-on-one in basketball. I was 13. It was like I just won the, you know, MVP trophy or something. And so, you know, I grew up in a competitive household, and dude, my whole life, it like I said, it just prepared me for that opportunity, and I was thankful to get it.
You know, some people do not understand that. You know, my future wife, she always says, do you have to win at everything? And I told her, losing builds character. Either A, you're going to keep losing, or B, you're going to find a way to win and pick yourself up. You know, only people who stay down are the ones who truly aren't destined to be the leaders of the free world, the leaders who guide man. You know, because again, if you don't have enough in you to pick yourself up when you're down, you shouldn't be playing a sport first and foremost, because you got guys playing, you know, waiting on you who need you, because it's a team sport. So having that trait, man, that's huge. And the fact that, you know, your guys who played with you recognize that, and that's a testament of your leadership right there within itself. Because again, a lot of people, when they're down, they'll stay down. They're not going to get up. They're not going to keep fighting, man. So that's very big of you. And the fact that they realize that, man, that speaks volumes of you and your character as a man.
Well, dude, that means a lot coming from you, Marvin. And I've always had the utmost respect for you. I hope you know that, dude. And the other thing is, you know, I think that football, sports in general, teach you a lot about how you're going to be as a man outside of sports. You know, you think about all the people that have lost jobs because of COVID-19 and just the troubles that America's in right now. It'd be really easy to get discouraged. It'd be really easy to not, you know, get up and go to work or quit on a family. You know, things are not easy, but a man, especially a godly man, in my opinion, you know, we don't have a choice in the matter. It is what it is. And, you know, it's easy when things are going well to be a front runner, but you want to find out a lot about a quarterback or a ball player or a man, a dad, a husband, whatever. Look at him when nobody's watching, when things are going rough, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I gotta ask this one other question. Everybody has one moment that they remember more than any other. Either it was them hitting somebody or them getting hit. Which one is it for you, and who did it?
Oh my goodness. I'm embarrassed to tell this story, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And on this particular point, I'm not an example, kids. I I wore a yellow jersey at practice, Marvin. I didn't get hit, and I had a bad vice, and that was Copenhagen tobacco. I played baseball. You know, you grow up and you see everybody in the MLB with a big dip in and all this stuff. And I was a quarterback, so I didn't get hit. I practiced with that in, okay? And that same game that I was telling you about Arkansas, what I didn't tell you is I couldn't find my helmet, and I was so nervous about finding my helmet, I forgot that I had a dip in. So I go out onto the field, the first time I ever play in a game that meant anything. I'd played one time before on the hands team or something. And by the way, they did not kick it on sides, and they kicked it deep, and that meant that I had to block. And I am not built for blocking, and my guy made the tackle. Needless to say, I was off the hands team moving forward. But so I go in, and the first down, second down handoff, there was nothing to that, right? Like, that's just everyday practice. But third down, I take a 3-step drop, and Tony Bua, the free safety for Arkansas, who wound up playing for the Bengals for many years in the NFL, hit me hard in my ribs, and I went, ugh. And when I did that, half of the substance in my mouth wound up in my belly, and needless to say, I couldn't. Shad Williams was our running back at the time. He had to wind up calling the plays for the next couple of plays, brother, because I couldn't speak. But yeah, I mean, that's a funny memory. You know, just the first time playing in a game that meant anything. I always pick at Tyrone Prothro, because if you'll remember the season we're talking about in the bowl game, I'm like, Prothro, let's think about this, man. You can win an ESPY by catching a pass over somebody's head, doing a cartwheel, landing on your back, and still get your Daniel Moore painting. I said, 3rd and 9 with 2 minutes left, I overthrow you this much. I said, I threw the ball this high, and you can't make a miraculous. Where's my Daniel Moore print, bro? I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Help a brother out.
I'll tell you a secret. Justin doesn't even know this. I actually messaged Prothro about 30 minutes before we started. I said, hey, man, I just thought about it. Spencer's going to be on. You know, you should surprise him and Justin and jump on if you get a chance. But I'm pretty sure he's in practice maybe, and he just hadn't seen my text message yet. So I actually tried to get him to surprise y'all and jump into this one.
I would have loved that. What a great athlete he was, man. You want to talk about somebody that, you know, God rested on the 7th day, but I'm pretty sure that he spent a little extra time on Prothro, dude. He had wheels. You know, he reminded me a lot of like a Tyreek Hill or somebody, this unbelievable talent. And my goodness, I hated the injuries. Such a devastating injury, you know. And you think about a guy like that and what happened with Tua, you know, you wonder. I mean, I'm getting old, guys. That's been 15 plus years ago. Medicine's advanced a lot. You wonder if he had the same injury now, could he have come back, you know? But that's,
do
again,
you want my honest opinion on that?
Yep.
Had he not gone to the doctor he went to, he would have probably came back, because I went to that same doctor the first time around and could barely walk after the fact. 2 years later, I go to Dr. Kane, who's Alabama's current team doctor. He works on me. 18 months later, the Dolphins end up bringing me in for a free agent workout. I still run a 4.640.
Brother, who you telling? Listen, my brother was injured and went to the same doctor, and his finger is still messed up. And fortunately for me, my dad said, listen, I don't care who y'all say we need to go to. We're going to Dr. Andrews and Dr. Kane, And if I got to pay for it out of my own pocket, I will. Now, look, I agree with you 100%. I'm not going to name any names, but
Nah,
that was a travesty, dude. It really was.
I don't know how he was allowed to work on people for as long as he
Yeah.
did. And I really wish my parents had have taken me to him from the start, because again, 18 months after he worked on me, I run a 4.640 at 258.
I didn't run a 4.640 at 158. They timed my 40 with a sundial, my man.
Hey. Life happens. Life happens.
That's right. That's right.
Speaking along the same lines of your toughness earlier, that was pretty much on display in that Music City Bowl. You suffered a concussion, had visibility in one eye, and were throwing up. How in the world did you play through all that and finish the game?
Well, like I said, man, I don't have any quit in me, dude. I never have. And that's something that was instilled in me from, listen, my brother's 9 years older than me, man. And so, I grew up, I didn't know I was smaller than them. I grew up with guys that were 9 years older than me. I grew up, honestly, so fortunate. Like, I remember being in the locker room and throwing the ball around with Jay Barker when I was 9 years old, and seeing David Palmer and those guys. And, and my mom is the sweetest lady that's ever walked around on 2 feet. Literally, think about Mary Poppins, except really country. That's who she is. And, my dad always said, listen, don't you keep your mom up here in these stands worried about you. If you can get up, there better be something broken, if you're going to come out of a game or going to lay on the field, man. And I remember when that shoulder injury happened. My collarbone came through my skin, guys. And I remember trying my best to get up because I was thinking about my dad saying that, and bless my mom's heart. This is a true story, man. My first year playing, when I was actually starting, I think she might have seen me play for like 2 quarters, because she would literally get so nervous. She would literally go to the restroom, shut the door, and just sit there and pray that her baby would be safe. And so it's tough on a mom and dad,
You know what's funny though? My mom was the complete opposite. I had to tell my mom to stop because I would hear my mom in the stands hollering, "Kill him!" I'm like, "Mama, I'm gonna kill him, okay? But you can't be yelling, kill him. Just cheer after I do it, Mom." She would kill him. Like, "No, Mom, that you can't do that."
That's so great. That's so great.
So I gotta ask, what was your favorite moment though from the Music City Bowl? I'm curious.
Dude, listen, if you think about those running backs that they had, watching them play, although it was really well against us. Who was it?
Rondé
Barber and Marion, right? Was the other?
No,
they were just. Who was it? It was Barber.
It was Marion Barber and
Barber. Yeah. Another guy played in the NFL for a long time. I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember. I just remember the whole experience, getting the swag, Marvin. That was always cool, getting to go and get all the things that go along with the bowl game. But I remember being so cold, man. I was thinking, dang, we're in Nashville, and it actually snowed a little bit. And, it was just so cold. The ground was actually frozen out there. But, man, getting to play in that stadium was really cool. There at the Titan Stadium, and it was just a neat experience, the whole thing. And just, dude, the thing is that people don't realize, and what I want my son and other kids to remember is slow down and enjoy it, because you can go and make a great sale. I'm a med device rep now. You can go have a great sale, a great day at work, but there's nothing like just the camaraderie, the time alone, with your boys and working hard for something that that guy's got your back, and there's nothing that can replace that in life.
See, the reason why I asked that question, because I know it was cold and it snowed that week. My freshman year, we played in the Music City Bowl as well against Virginia Tech. It literally snowed and iced the entire time. It was icing during the game. So pretty much every guy on the team had every piece of clothing that was in their locker on under their shoulder pads. You're talking hoodies, looking like Little League players out there, right? So during the game, remember, it's icing. So during the game, those jet heaters?
Oh, yeah.
We're all, everybody's crowded around the jet heater. We just start smelling something. We look over and it's Darius Gilbert. He has on his coat, and the jet heater has caught his coat on fire on the side.
Come on, DG. That's
He's on
great.
fire on the sideline.
That's so funny. See, it's little stuff like that, man. You'll remember that for life. No doubt.
Well, Spencer, I know you got to watch your son play, and man, we really appreciate you coming on. Really have enjoyed your stories, and really enjoyed what your career was about, and the message it sent to not only us as fans, but the players who were there with you, man. And just absolutely amazing. It was amazing to see how God used you to carry out so many great messages, brother. So thank you again for coming on and sharing this with us.
Dude, I'm so glad to be here. I wish y'all nothing but the best. I'm really honored that y'all asked me to be on here, dude. Roll Tide, and I can't wait to watch us beat Tennessee like a rented mule. And I'll be having my Cohiba cigar sitting on my stand right by my recliner where I'll be watching it, and it will be lit as soon as the game's over, hopefully, boys, because I don't want to put it away till next year.
Right. Well, Spencer, again, thank you. And do me a favor. Can you message me your sizes and give me a few weeks, and I'll send you a gift with what we talked about?
Dude, you are the man. It'll be coming here shortly, guys. Best of luck. God bless y'all,
right.
And thank you
God
again,
bless you.
okay?
All right. Thank you, brother.
Yeah,
right.
Roll
Bye-bye.
Tide.
Roll Tide.
Man, that was awesome, brother. Loved having him on. I love hearing those stories. That dude was tough, man. And you don't hear that a lot about quarterbacks. I mean, what quarterback that nowadays, or even when you played, man, would have gone through that pure hell and kept on going?
Not many, because most quarterbacks are pansies. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
They pretty much saw, don't touch me, don't hit me. I got my practice jersey on, so you can't. Not all quarterbacks. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just playing. I'm just jokes. But no, he was very tough.
Well, we definitely,
getting to see him make that.
I was gonna say, man, definitely Tom Brady does not fit the same build as Spencer Pennington.
Right. So awesome. Even though he beat us.
Well, I've pretty much got that out of my memory, dude.
If only we had a kicker.
Well, man, dude, I still no. All right, now let's go on to the next part of our show, which I really enjoy. It's the segment called Constant Chaos, where you get an opportunity to talk about things that you saw wrong, or maybe it seemed positive chaos. But nonetheless, this is brought to you by Milo's, who boasts one of the best food traditions since 1946. We're now talking about the Georgia game from this past weekend. Big win, but I'm sure there's plenty of things that we need to talk about. Marvin, let's get it rolling. What'd you say?
The thing that really just burned me up the most about this game, that really just got under my skin, it's almost like that dirt under your fingernails that you just can't get out. We look like two completely different teams from the first half to the second. We shut them out the second half, but the first half, it was like they owned us. Was it really that difficult to stop them? We knew that their quarterback wasn't going to do anything spectacular. It's not like he's some 4 or 5-star quarterback who's throwing the ball all over the place. Why can't we just get more pressure on him? Did we even sack him the first half? No. We got more pressure on him the second half, and it definitely changed everything. When we gave him time to throw the first half, he picked us apart, 24 points. We put a little bit more pressure on him. We run more zone defense the second half. What happened? We shut him out. It's not rocket science. Why would you put a defense in a bad position? All that man-to-man, I get it. That's what you want to do. That's your identity. We're going to lock them up man-to-man. But at what point do you say, hey, maybe, just maybe, this man-to-man isn't going to work because we're not getting the pressure that we need to get up front? Because when you're playing man-to-man, if you're not making that quarterback get that ball out of his hands almost immediately, he's going to pick you apart because nobody can cover all day. Not Antonio Langham, not George T, not anybody we've had on this show. They're all great, but nobody can cover all day. And honestly, our front does not match our coverage. We don't get the pressure needed to run man-to-man defense. We need to be more of a zone defense. I mean, it is what it is. It sucks to say it, but we should be more of a zone defense because we're just not getting the pressure we need to be playing man defense. So for me, that was my biggest takeaway. Now, on the other side, I was happy to see a kicker actually make a field goal for once.
52 yards.
Because, again, when he was getting ready to line up to kick that field goal in the first half, that last one, honestly, I just walked away because I just knew he was going to miss it because that has been the history of Alabama kickers. I'm not talking about you, Lee. I'm not talking about Van, Mike. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about the rest of these guys out here who've been blowing kicks for years. Why can we never get a kicker? That's my only question. Is it really that difficult? I mean, give him an extra tray at dinner. Do something. Give him something.
That's been the biggest question out of every Alabama fan's mouth for the past decade or more is that we pretty much have our pick with every position out there. So even punter, we had the best punter who's now the starting punter for the Green Bay Packers. J.K. Scott, best I've ever seen. So why are we falling short on kicker, which is arguably one of the most vital positions on the field other than quarterback?
But it's always like that. Even when I was in school, we had Daniel Pope as a punter, amazing punter. We could always count on Pope to pin those guys deep. Daniel Pope, one of the best punters. Him and J.K. Scott, to me, are probably the two best punters I've ever seen at Alabama, hands down. Because Pope was excellent at nailing that coffin corner. Same thing with Scott. They were both amazing punters. But then you got to kick a field goal, and it's like, oh, God. It's like flipping a coin. You don't know what you're going to get. Yeah, is it really that hard to kick a ball? It's not. One, do your one job, be accountable.
Let me ask you this, going back to the defense, you were talking about how we're not getting that push. We're not being very physical. One of the most embarrassing things as an Alabama fan, and I know as you as a former player, is the fact that people are able to go in the trenches against us. They're not scared. And they were ripping through us like butter this past Saturday. This is a problem. So where's the disconnect on this? Because typically up front, we're strong, we're powerful, there's nobody going near us, but now they don't fear us. What's changed?
I think a lot of it has to do with the distribution of talent as well. You got to look, Georgia's had some excellent recruiting classes. So, they have the talent to match up with us day in and day out. So, to say, hey, this guy should push this guy around, that's kind of hard to say when both guys are 4 and 5 stars. It's pretty much going to be a play-by-play battle, who wins what. So, going into it, I knew we would lose a lot of battles to them as we would win a lot of battles for them. But it comes down to coaching. It comes down to scheme. And thankfully, we got Nick. And at halftime, great adjustments. We came out that second half, shut them out, and completely dominated them. So I want to know whoever tested Nick and gave him that positive test. I'm thinking it had to be some random Georgia, Auburn, or Tennessee fan who just snuck into the building and kidnapped the real test dude and probably gave him this fake test thinking that it would help. It didn't help. So I don't get it, though. It's like, how do you play two completely different halves? That second half, we look like the best team in the country. First half, we look like Ole Miss. We look like Arkansas. We look like Mississippi State. We went into halftime losing.
And let me add to that. Even Mac Jones, who is cool as a cucumber under pressure, was playing antsy and wasn't playing within his character either. So, everything was just off. And the thing was, it's not like we were just messing up or things weren't connecting on offense. We were making plays. Matter of fact, their DBs were scared of our receivers. They were having a hard time. They were grabbing their jerseys and wrestling them. There's a lot of holding calls that should have been made, but they weren't made. That's another story. But the thing is, things were working, but yet we were still playing a little nervous, a little antsy. And let me ask you this. You talked about Nick Saban making adjustments. How important was it having Nick Saban at that game for that to happen? And had he not been there, would the same adjustments and same outcome would have happened?
Let me start by saying this. Every defender holds who has to cover somebody, Justin.
Well, I know that. I know that. I was just
But, having Nick there plays a vital role on so many levels. That first level, to me, that's so important having him there, is that level of accountability. When guys see Nick Saban, the expectations that comes with that, it raises that bar versus Nick not being there. Because from some of the guys who played for him, who I talked to over the years, they all say the same thing. You don't want to disappoint him. He's a great motivator. He expects the best out of his players. So when he's not there, with that same expectation of greatness be there, would that bar still be as high? Would those guys still be as motivated to play for an assistant coach as they would be for Nick? That's the first thing you got to consider. The second thing being the adjustments. Who would have made those adjustments had he not been there? Because I'm pretty sure, Coach has been a lot more involved with the defense as of late, especially after that Ole Miss debacle. I'm pretty sure Coach has been a lot more involved in the game plan and the adjustments that are being made, because I'm not going to believe for 1 second that Golden did that all on his own. Hey, listen, man, there's nothing you're going to tell me to make me believe that was Golden's doing. That was all Coach. I guarantee you, Coach is taking more of a hands-on approach with that defense, because, again, he's seen what happened against Ole Miss, and I've seen his frustration. Nothing about that said, hey, I'm just going to let this keep going the way it's going. And Nick's not the type of person to where he's going to let it do that. He's very hands-on. He is going to get involved if it's not going right, and it hadn't been going right. So, I'm actually looking forward to seeing the change at defensive coordinator. I think there'll be a change at defensive coordinator before this season is over. I really do.
Really? You don't think that he'll continue to roll with what he's got and then wait to the off season? Or do you think this is where we start to see a little bit more Charlie Strong? To be honest, I detected a little resemblance of a Charlie Strong mentality in the way things were being done on the defense. Did you see that, or is that something I was just kind of wishfully thinking?
Well, I thought it was more of Coach Saban, but I might be wrong. But I can tell it was definitely not Golding's doing, because when you look at the way Golding has been calling defenses the past year and a half versus what was called on Saturday, when is the last time we shut out anybody in a half? Exactly. So point proven right there. So it might have been Charlie Strong. It might have been Coach. It was somebody. It just wasn't the current guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a change happening at defensive coordinator before too long, because whoever was responsible for Saturday's second half performance, they're going to see more of an active role in what goes on in the day-to-day preparations. Because, again, we're playing a 10-game SEC schedule. There's no off days. You're not going to play any La Techs. You're not going to play any Louisiana Monroes. It's SEC every week. And you win those games, you got to play in the SEC championship. You win those games, you're in the college playoffs. So every team that you play this year is going to be a phenomenal team, with the exception of Mississippi State, who let Kentucky beat them 24-2. I'm going to keep my comments to myself on that one.
Kentucky, even Kentucky is no slouch in the SEC. If you look, they've allowed 12 points total over the past 2 games. They got a pretty good defense right there. So there is really, like you said, no off week except for when you have a bye week. Right. And it's like it's a playoff literally every week where you lose, you're out. And, you still have an opportunity to make up, but it's still a very tough road to go down. So you don't want to lose.
That's why I think we'll see a change in defensive coordinator because of that fact, because there is no room for error this season. None. It's not like in past seasons where, if you lost the game, you still had a shot. To say that this year is going to be very difficult for 2 reasons. You got some conferences just starting. Some conferences hadn't even started yet. So you don't know what's going to happen. This whole season is a season of unknowns. So why would you continue to roll the dice with someone who's not getting the job done, and then you lose, and then you might not be able to play your last game or 2 for a while? Then they say, okay, well, we're just going to take the teams based on their current records, and we're going to decide who the playoff contenders are from that. There's so many factors that you have to consider where you have to say, hey, there's no room for error. When there's no room for error, you got to have the best of the best game planning and calling plays. I'm sorry. That's the only answer for me.
Before we go any further, and we'll continue to talk about this, I want to remind everybody our phone lines are now open. So we will be taking your calls. This is brought to you by Rama Jammas, who has one of the best game day traditions since 1996. When you call in, be sure and tell us your name and where you're from. And we're waiting for our first caller. If you've not seen our advertisements, the number is 312-626-6799, meeting ID 818-4845-6675. So
I have a request.
go ahead. That's what we're here
Rama
for.
Jammas, cheeseburgers are my favorite food. Can we get the constant burger, the double 45, the something? I want my own burger.
I think it's time for that, to be honest with you. And we've been showing them a lot of love here at the Sportscast for a long time. So I think that's it. You know what? You can set up your book there, get a little extra marketing going on. They help you.
I just
You
want the cheeseburgers.
well, yeah. I still want to challenge someone to a national championship burger. Have you ever been able to take that down?
Never tried one.
I think that's something that is definitely worth exploring.
I tell you what, I got to go home for my dad's birthday here real soon. I might just have to slide by there and try one. Maybe we can arrange something there.
Yes, sir. Hey, maybe if the folks at Ramajamas would be kind enough to grant you that cheeseburger, we might be on location and do a podcast. I'm just saying.
October 31st, I'll be at home. I'm gonna pull up on you and see about that national championship burger.
I'll challenge you to it. I'm all about it, man. I don't like to lose either. So, now you've seen defenses struggle across the board in the SEC, which is very uncharacteristic. Do you attribute that to the fact that a lot of people are throwing this out there, that it's because of COVID, not be able to practice the way they normally practice, not be able to have that hands-on and whatnot, and then also we're just going to see a shift now as we enter the midpoint of the season? Is that something that we should expect to see, or are people just not playing good defense?
I think people are just not playing good defense because anybody who knows anything about football, when you do have camp, everybody always says the defense is always going to be ahead of the offense because offense is more timing based. So there's no reason for offenses to be better than defense because, again, offenses are the one that requires timing. On defense, hey, I got X receiver, I got the Y receiver, I got the back, I got the slot, I got the tight end. You know who you have. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to get it done. On offense, you got a quarterback. He has to go through his progressions, his read. He's going to go from his first read to his second read to his third read. And then you have to throw the ball. The receiver has to know what to look for. There's so much more timing that goes into playing offense than defense. So there's no reason for these defenses to be getting killed the way they are.
Right.
So I don't get it. Maybe it's an evolution or something. I don't know. But the spread offense has been around for years, so you can't blame it on that. So it's like, what factor are you going to blame? Because even when Steve Spurrier ran the fun and gun, defenses found a way to stop it. We did it just fine. So
yeah, exactly. And that's a very key point you just made is that, something may work for X amount of time, but there is that point to where everybody adjusts and it kind of neutralizes that. So why are we still seeing the problem? Are coaches just not catching on to something? Well, again, I ask, where is a disconnect?
I'll say this. I think it has more to do with the turnover in college football coaches.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys can recruit, but just because you can recruit a 5-star athlete, how are you going to develop them when they're getting there? I think there's a lot of lack of development once these kids are getting on campus because the guys who recruited them are no longer there anymore. So it's like, you didn't recruit me, but I got to listen to you. And it's not that same type of relationship. So you got to understand, these are kids. There's a lot of emotion involved. So is a kid going to play as hard for a new coach, or would he play harder for the guy who recruited him, who sold him his dream that he actually loved? You're going to play a lot harder for that guy who recruited you. That's just the bottom line. That's just hands down. But then it goes back to want to, pride, and determination. How bad do you want to do something? How much pride do you have? And are you really determined to see it through? Those are the three things that you have to look at. And again, a lot of these guys are young kids, you know. When you
Right.
start talking about that level of accountability with teenagers and 20-year-olds, right, that level of maturity is just not there yet. So, you know, I think it's so many different factors, but I think it's that turnover in coaching that has a lot to do with it more than anything else.
Well, yeah, absolutely. The attrition is definitely inevitable now. That's just
Hold on. Prime example. I'm gonna give you one prime example.
yeah. Go ahead.
You
Who
look
we
at
got?
every other school and all the problems we're having. What one school that you know isn't having the problems?
Clemson.
And why not? Because they
Because
never leave
nobody's
coaches.
left. Yeah,
They
nobody's left.
coaches never leave.
Yeah, Brent Venables has been there how many years now? 10, 15 years, something like that. But
They
yeah,
have
that
that relationship with their players. They understand their players. They understand what it takes to build that relationship and that continuity in those relationships. Again, it's hard to build relationships with the kid you didn't recruit when you just walked on campus, and this kid has been there for a year or two, and he feels like he's committed to the other guy who's moved on. And in some cases, they're mad because the guy left. You
yeah.
know, and then again, you got some guys that they hire because they're a good recruiter, but they suck at coaching. They can't develop the kid.
All right, brother. We actually have our first caller. You're on the Riley and Constant show. Please tell us who you are, where you're from.
I am Kanan Mullins. I live in Mount Carmel, Tennessee, which is Rocky Top Minor. I'm not proud of it, but that's where we live.
Right in the heart of Rocky Top, man. How are you living life right now during this week of all weeks?
Well, it's just another day. Orange is orange to us. We're kind of callous to it.
All right. Well, what question do you have for me or Marvin, especially about maybe
I
about
really
this
don't.
week?
I really don't have a question, but I was going to share my first time that I remember watching Alabama play Tennessee, and that was in 1994 at Neyland Stadium, and Alabama beat Tennessee, and that was some sad faces. They were wearing orange that night, and I'm not even sorry about it.
I don't blame you there. That was a great game, actually. So I really enjoyed that, and I believe that was Manning's first year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Say what, buddy?
Oh, I was just saying that was actually Peyton Manning's first year, wasn't it? And we were able to go to Knoxville
Yes,
and
it was.
ruin his coming out party. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, special game, man. Yeah, definitely one of the best rivalries there ever was. It's overlooked right now just because of how Tennessee's been doing, but to Alabama fans, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I can't say I feel sorry for them, but I mean, when the Vols are playing a little bit better than what they are, that's really what brings out the rivalry. And it's I mean, the rivalry's always there. There's no doubt about it. But I don't mind Alabama whipping up on UT at all.
They'll be playing a lot better very soon. Jeremy will definitely get them to where they need to be. I'm sure of that. So.
Yeah. So we've been to a few of those games down there, and even though it is UT, whenever we go down, we do show respect, because I mean, you got to show respect to your rivals, I guess, but still don't like UT.
Well, we definitely appreciate the call. Definitely calling in the future, man. So roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Sure. Hey, Marvin, good to meet you, buddy. So
pleasure to meet you as well.
See y'all later.
All right, see you.
So, Marvin, speaking of Jeremy Pruitt, do you ever foresee him possibly coming to Alabama when and if Nick Saban decides to depart?
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one. It all depends on what's going on in the world at that time and, how he's doing at Tennessee. If he's doing a nice job at Tennessee, I can definitely see him coming back home to Tuscaloosa, but then again, it just all depends,
Absolutely. Well, let's kind of stick with what's going on at Alabama. One of the things I've seen on social media recently was a lot of talk about Dylan Moses. His play has not been very Dylan Moses-esque as of late. Matter of fact, one of the quotes that stood out to me the most from this past weekend is he is bleeding money. How do you feel that his performance right now is affecting his possible draft stock?
I'm pretty sure he has a loss of value policy that will probably compensate him very well from where he'll be drafted this year to where he would have been drafted had he came out prior to his injury. So, I don't know if he's just nervous or just trying not to get hurt, or if
Yeah.
maybe, it's just getting back to playing the game, because coming back from a knee injury, it's not the same for everybody. It's really not. You don't know what's going through that head,
No.
and then he missed a year of football. I mean, there's so many factors that can contribute to your performance. So for me, the biggest thing that I would tell him, just keep pushing, man. Stay positive, young fella. Don't listen to the pressures of the outside world. Everybody's going to have something negative to say about you until you go do what you've been known for doing. But at the end of the day, only you are responsible for you. And don't ever let anybody pressure you, because again, nobody knows what you're going through but you. I've been there and I've, went through the whole knee injury
Yeah.
situation. Nobody will ever know what goes through your mind but you. So, just relax, take it game by game, do what you need to do for you. Don't feel like you got to be a hero, because when you do that, you tend to put yourself in harm's way. Take care of yourself. That's the best advice I can give you.
You actually bring up a very good point up. A lot of people on the outside don't really understand that. They only see what's in front of them. But how important is that after the injury, coming back mentally, getting that confidence back? Like you said, a lot of times when you're playing nervous, you're worried about, are you going to get injured here? Are you going to get injured there? How tough is overcoming that battle? You got the physical tools, you got the stats to prove it, but that mental aspect of it is a whole nother beast to overcome. Can you actually shed some? Because, like I said, a lot of people don't understand that part of it.
Yeah, man, that mental aspect, it definitely takes a toll on you. It makes you extremely cautious. There were times when after I got hurt and I tried to come back and play at Alabama, there was times in practice where I was so nervous. It was just like, is one of my teammates gonna hurt me? Is it gonna happen here? Will it happen in a game? Those are all things that that go through your mind. And then for him, there's also the whole aspect of protecting himself because he wants to play in the NFL. So, you have one side, I don't want to get hurt in practice. I don't want to get hurt in games. Other side saying, preserve yourself, survive so that you can get to the NFL unscathed in a season that's already crazy enough as it
Yeah.
is. So mentally, I mean, there's a lot that goes through your mind, man. People don't understand when you're on that field and it's just you really, especially as a middle linebacker, because you're responsible for so many things,
Hmm.
so it already slows down your performance because you got to tell the D-line what to do. If you make an adjustment to the defense, you got to tell the secondary if you change the strength. You got to tell them if you change the coverage. There's so many things that you're already processing. And then on top of that, you add in the whole thought process of your injury and not trying to get re-injured. Oh my God, man, I guarantee you every play, there's so many things going through his mind. And again, average
Hmm.
people will never understand that pressure. And it
Right.
is so much pressure, man. And when you have everybody watching you, that only adds to the pressure. It's like it's pressure here, pressure, pressure everywhere. And again, we're talking about kids here.
Yeah.
Kids. So, don't be so quick to judge. Don't be so critical of a kid because he's still a kid at this point. The scientists told us that the brain is not fully developed until you mid to late 20s or something. So a kid, let the kid be a kid, let him grow, let him get through this, and he'll be fine. But he might just need a little bit more time. That's all.
Let me ask you this. Yeah, last week we were talking about your big dinner party, man. How did that go? And I remember we were talking about you possibly spending a lot of money, and if things didn't go right, you're going to head down to Tuscaloosa and with receipt in hand, demanding payment. So I got to ask how it went, man. I mean, you didn't have DiGiorno, did you? Or did you have the full menu you were talking about?
Man, I had the full menu. I enjoyed my steak. I enjoyed my lobster. I enjoyed everything, man. Yeah, it was a great game day party. My guests, they enjoyed it. I mean, who wouldn't enjoy steak and lobster at a game day party? I mean, come on. Ribeyes and lobster tails?
Yes, sir.
Come on. And we also had wings for those who weren't feeling so bougie.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, we had lemon pepper wings and Parmesan garlic wings. Like, okay, you don't want to eat steak and lobster? Here, we got wings over here for you.
All right, let me ask you, who was your standout guy of the game on that defense? I have one, but I want to hear from you first.
Oh, man.
I know it's tough just considering what we're talking about, but go ahead.
For me, I'll give it to the young kid, Malachi Moore. Malachi did a great job. And then that interception at the end, oh, man, that sealing that deal, because, again, they were on the verge of ending that second half shutout. So, they were driving. So for him to intercept the ball on the goal line, the 1 yard line, oh, my God, I was so happy to see that. Even though the point spread at that point was null and void, because I bet on the first half, but we're not going to talk about that.
No, I think we should.
Oh my God! The first half they were favored by 3. So
yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah.
I got a cousin that lives in Vegas, so he takes my bets for me regularly. So I just took the first half. Needless to say, that didn't work out so well. So yeah, but we'll get back to that another time.
Yeah, we'll get back to that another time.
And what's the one kid? Is it LeBron Ray? Is that his name?
Yeah, LeBron Ray.
He gets his hands up, bats some balls down. I think that was the disruption as well that really helped our defense, because Georgia's quarterback, he's just not tall enough. No. So it's already hard enough for him to see over the top of those 6'5", 6'6" linemen. So when the defensive lineman gets his hands up, we get those balls batted in the air, out of the air. Oh man, that is a benefit within itself, because again, not only are you disrupting the play, you're giving your defenders a chance to intercept batted balls as well. And once you start doing that, then you're forcing him to run out of the pocket more. By forcing him to run out of the pocket more, now you can get a little bit more pressure from the edge. So there were several factors that actually played a role in impacting that second half shutout.
Yeah, and it definitely made him feel very uncomfortable because he was running out of the pocket, which is something he doesn't like to do. And it was causing
he didn't get the ball over those linemen getting their hands up. So again, it all plays a role in the shutout.
And how many knockdown passes was that? I felt like I was watching Shaq and Dikembe Mutombo going up against them, man. Just swat.
Yeah, it was a lot, but I don't want them to get comfortable, because that's not every quarterback.
No, not at all.
Because most quarterbacks are going to be 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", and that isn't the norm. So.
No, not at all. But yeah, you bring up a very good point. Malachi Moore is starting to turn out to be a stud. Kind of reminds me a little bit of maybe Minkah Fitzpatrick and a little bit of George Teague as well. Just seeing the way he flies around the field, flies around the
Minus
ball.
the gray hair.
Yeah.
No offense, George.
George, I don't think you heard you. I think he's preparing for his show tonight. But yeah, he rarely makes mistakes. Of course, he's making those little freshman mistakes, but which is expected. But I may have counted maybe 1, 2 at the most the entire game. He really is playing like a veteran. What do you feel like is contributing to his early success?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he just came to school prepared. Maybe he just had his mind made up that, hey, this is what I want and I'm going to take it. You got guys who come to school like that who say, hey, no matter what the circumstances were before they arrive, once they get there, it's already in their mind. This is mine. I'm taking it and nobody's going to stop me. And shout out to his mother, Penny. I'm still trying to get you on the show. Don't be scared. She was like, I'm nervous. Penny, come on this show and talk about Malachi.
Yeah,
we'll have fun.
Come on. Absolutely.
Come on.
Matter of fact, we'll get you a T-shirt. A little something. Yeah.
Exactly.
I was about to ask you about that. I was wondering when she was going to come on. Penny, we'd love to have you.
She was scared. I get nervous.
Nervous? If you see her on Twitter, she's all over Twitter talking.
Exactly. You're not nervous no more. So come
on
out here Let's talk about this thing. Let's celebrate Malachi. Come on.
Absolutely. We'll have a whole show dedicated to him because we love him. We love what he's doing, and we really feel like he's going to be
Right.
that next guy. So, yeah, Penny, this is, we're going to, matter of fact, every week until you come on, we're going to have a segment where we take 5 minutes and we ask you to
Well,
come
tell
on.
you what, why don't you edit this clip? Give me a little segment and I'll post it on my IG and I'll make sure I tag her in it and I'll send it to her.
I will.
And I'll let everybody see it.
Oh, it's already done. All right, let's move to the offense. Now, there's a lot of people to choose from here. Who were your standout players or player on the offensive side of the ball?
I mean, the wide receivers as a whole, man, those guys are
Yeah,
just awesome, man. What more can you say about them? And then Mac does a great job getting the ball out on time, putting it in a place where only they can get it, man. He has that nice touch on that ball. It kind of reminds me of that ball that Russell Wilson throws with that high arc on it, and it just drops in right on top of over the defender's head. So, because if it's a straight line throw, he can kind of get a hand on it. But when it has that arc on it and it just drops, usually
yeah,
there's nothing that a defender can do, no matter how well that ball is covered. So, he has done a phenomenal job. And then I also say shout out to the offensive line. They did a
yeah,
great job run blocking. We pretty much physically dominated Georgia the
yeah.
second half of that game. One drive, I think we ran the ball, I don't know how many plays in a row. We didn't even pass the ball. We literally marched it down their throat, running the ball. That is when you have physically whooped, physically dominated your opponent. That is when you have made your opponent submit to your will. We made them submit to our will in that second half, and it showed in the scoreboard. It paid off. So, and I'm just hoping that we keep that momentum going. We go into Knoxville and lay the law down and keep the train rolling.
No doubt. I definitely got to give a huge shout out to Mac Jones. Back to back to back, 400 plus yards game. No one in Alabama history has done it. He's the first quarterback in the SEC that's done it for over 20 years. Uh, this guy should be talked about for the Heisman. There's no denying it. And I even heard of Barrett Sally, who's one of the reporters for Alabama, trying to give props over what Trevor Lawrence did against Georgia Tech. Come on, Georgia Tech? I mean, that's a lot different than Georgia. Georgia, number
Um,
one defense in the nation. Georgia Tech, middle school.
okay, you got the number one defense in the nation is Georgia, and then you got the nerd school. Excuse my language. I have several of my former students who actually go to engineering school at Georgia Tech. So
Well,
I'm sorry, guys. But I mean, let's just call it what it is. Yeah, you got the smart guys versus the athletes. I mean, guys.
also, Najee Harris, dude, it's like he took that game personally. And,
Yeah,
and everybody told him, you're not running against them. They hadn't allowed a touchdown since what, 2018 when they
been
last
a
played
while.
us? Yeah,
Yep.
Josh Jacobs was the last running back to get a rushing touchdown. So he's been hearing all that. And everybody's been saying, you ain't going to do nothing. He rushes to a tune of 150 plus yards against them. It's like he's taking it personally. And this is a guy, man, you never believe if you need him in a big game, he's showing up. And he did.
But but
Go
it
ahead.
starts with that offensive line.
Yes.
Watching that second half, they physically whooped Georgia's D line. I mean, they just manhandled Georgia's D line in that second half. So Najee, you should be taking those guys to dinner this week. Man, go get them guys some 24-ounce ribeyes, the biggest ribeyes you can find, man. Go buy them whole cows
Yes.
because those guys are opening up all the lanes for you.
Now, but don't go to
Hey,
the
guess who
24.
just text messaged me now?
Who's that?
Proto, you're late, guy.
He's late. Should we let him in?
I don't know. Let me see what he's talking about real quick. Hold on. Let's see.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Najee needs to take them somewhere to eat, but not the 24-hour diner at Patty.
Oh,
It needs to be,
yeah,
it needs to be 5 star. but
definitely. Oh, he
but
said
yeah,
he's on his way home from practice and he has bad service. So he said,
well,
yeah, I figured he was in practice. I just wanted to give him an opportunity to jump on with Spencer, let him catch up. So,
oh, most definitely. And we can revisit that, especially with Spencer and hopefully Brody. If you're listening, you need to be on this show. That's where everybody's at. So, all right, now, guys, the phone lines are still open. We are still taking calls. Well, we're going to go ahead and transition to the prediction side of things. So let's get to it. First game, rivalry game, North Carolina State versus a disappointing North Carolina that just blew it against the Seminoles. Marvin, what do you feel about that one?
Mac Brown, North Carolina. Y'all owe me some money because I bet on y'all. I bet on you bums, and you lose to Florida State.
I think a lot of.
I mean,
how does that happen?
Florida
Did
State,
they recover
the
from
same
this?
school that was down big to Jacksonville State. How did Jacksonville State almost beat them? And then y'all lose to them. Listen, man, y'all cost me money, North Carolina. So I'm taking North Carolina State because y'all cost me money.
Wolfpack Herd. I'm going to second that motion. All right, moving on. The Big Ten or the Big Two open up play this weekend. They start off with Nebraska against Ohio State. Who's sitting at number 5?
Who will even be watching this crap? The little 10, as I like to call it,
yeah,
has not been relevant for years. Whenever they show up to big games, they usually get killed, minus 2014. We're not going to talk about that, though. But outside of that, they usually show up and get killed. You know, I'm just not impressed with the Big Ten. But if I had to pick a team, I would take Ohio State because they pay the refs off.
Oh, yeah. I'm going with the Buckeyes in this one. I just don't think that Nebraska's got the horses yet to contend with the Buckeyes. And my gosh, God bless Nebraska and the schedule they got this year. Moving on, number 18, Michigan, who really needs to show up this year, Jim Harbaugh, versus number 21, Minnesota. Who do you got?
If it were a music video competition, I would probably take Michigan. You know, if we had to see who can get the best rap artist to come perform, but it's an actual football game. So I'm going to go with PJ, and we're going to roll that boat, baby. I think that boat is going to roll right over those Wolverines because I'm pretty sure they're somewhere ironing their khakis, getting ready to go get on somebody's music video. Wake up. It's football season.
Hey, can we get one of those row the boat shirts there, Flack? I'd love to wear that. My gosh, yes.
I wouldn't wear it. Negative.
Well, you can introduce it. Maybe you can get a little collaboration with your fitness clothing line. You know, open up the market there in Minnesota. I mean, this is an opportunity for you.
I only wear one school unless I'm paid very handsomely. Thanks, ESPN. Shout out. You know, when I had to wear the Clemson uniform. Clemson. Yeah. Hey, you know, the check's right, though. You know, it's up for negotiation. But doing it for fun, not happening.
So how much of that was ESPN convincing you, and how much was Paul Hogan trying to get you to do him a favor?
Nah, it was all ESPN's check.
Oh, ESPN. Yeah, I got you. They got a good bank account. All right, next. We got South Carolina, who just whooped Auburn this past week against a struggling LSU. What do you see in this game?
Shout out to Clint Haggard, South Carolina's head trainer. Clint was actually a GA at Alabama. He's the one who took me through all my rehab after Dr. Kane fixed me. Clint is the one who nursed me back to health to the condition that I'm in today. Thank you, Clint, so much. And I did take South Carolina last week over Auburn. So, Coach Muschamp, thank you for the money, homeboy. I appreciate you on that one. Hey, man, I was so happy that early game to only be later disappointed because you know who else I took that really worked my nerves?
Ole Miss.
Oh, man. How do you go toe-to-toe with us one week and then you how did the quarterback throw 7 interceptions? Okay.
How is he still in the game?
I have no clue. All right, hold on. Back to South Carolina. I'm taking South Carolina again over the what is it? The busted Tigers. Yeah, the busted Tigers. They're no longer the Bengal Tigers. There's nothing ferocious about them. You've lost to Missouri. You lost last week. I mean, Coach, what you gonna do this week when you go down there and you gotta play that the South Carolina? They gonna bring them trees down there. Coach Muschamp, them boys, they gonna come down there. They gonna come ready. Them busted Tigers ain't ready. I'm telling you now, them Gamecocks is coming. I'm taking South Carolina.
Man, yeah. Well, yeah, I want to roll in the South Carolina train as well. I feel like maybe Muschamp is right the ship. They've got talent there. Matter of fact, shout out to Deion Sanders' boy, man. He really had a good game against Auburn this past week. He can hit. I know his daddy didn't teach him that. Coach Prime didn't teach him that. But yeah, he looked really good. So did Joe Horn's boy. Man, they got the
Yeah,
whole NFL's family members playing for them now.
Joe Horn's son looked amazing back there.
Yeah, dude.
So I'm definitely looking forward to them beating up on LSU because again, I don't think LSU's got nothing for them. We know they gonna come down here, but we ain't ready. We hoping a hurricane come through here so this game get canceled. Coach, it ain't happening. You're gonna have to play South Carolina and they will beat you.
All right. Moving out of the SEC, number 9 Cincinnati against number 16 SMU. You might not be a Group of Five fan, but if you had to watch a Group of Five a game, these two guys would probably be the one to watch.
I've actually been watching SMU a lot lately.
They're
They've
good.
been playing some nice ball. So I'm gonna take SMU. You know
I am
why?
too.
Because it's Cincinnati, man. Yeah, they're too close to the Bengals. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a bunch of bad chi in that area.
Yeah.
It's almost like the state of Georgia with the Falcons and the Bulldogs. They just can't, and the Braves, they just can't put it all together. Same
Oh.
thing with Cincinnati.
Oh, and that's still fresh, man. That wound's still fresh.
I'm pouring salt in that wound, baby. A bunch of losers.
Woo.
All right, listen, man. The Falcons hadn't won a championship ever. Georgia hadn't won a championship since 1980. The Braves hadn't been to a World Series in over 20 years. It's called a tradition of losing.
They couldn't even win a Super Bowl when Cornelius Bennett was playing for them.
Listen, when the
Oh,
Falcons
man.
blew that 28-3 lead, listen, all Matt Ryan had to do was take the hot read, check to a run play, run it off tackle. You had one of the best kickers in the game in Matt Bryan. Kick the field goal, you win. But instead, you stick with the play because you want to be a hero. My guy, Dante Hightower, sacks him.
Yes.
Roll Tide.
Come on. Yeah.
Again, it's a tradition of losing. That's what they specialize in, losing. That's what they all do.
Just a reminder, guys, the Atlanta Falcons Fall Down T-shirts are available on Marvin's Instagram. Just in time for Christmas. So we'll give you a promo code. We'll give you a promo code next week. All right. Let's talk about Ole Miss. They're playing Auburn. First of all, I am tired of people overhyping Bo Nix. I've seen a better arm on a chair. Why do we continue to have him in the spotlight? Why are they pushing the envelope? And then Ole Miss. I'll answer your question about what they did. They pulled an Ole Miss. They will play a great game like what they did against us. Matter of fact, years ago they actually beat us, but Ole Miss always pulls an Ole Miss and goes to a place that they should come out and win, and they blow it.
Here's the thing. If I'm playing football and I'm playing in a game, okay, and somebody says to me, hey, man, we got to go out here. We got to get this W. We need a quarterback. I would rather have a bow box from Bojangles full of chicken and biscuits and just sit there and eat that than have Bo Nix under center. I would rather take that bow box than Bo Nix.
Yes. I'd rather have Freddie Kitchens all spring than my bad.
Now, needless to say, Ole Miss's quarterback in 7 interceptions. I would have pulled him after the second or the third one. At that point, it's like he's just throwing it up for grabs. So
right.
I don't know who to pick, honestly. I can't pick the dirt down the road. I can't pick them. And I can't pick the team with the quarterback who just threw 7 interceptions. So who am I going to pick? Nobody,
because the viewers lose. Okay, moving on to a game that might be a little bit more meaningful. Sorry, tongue-tied. Number 3, Notre Dame versus Pitt.
I'm gonna take Notre Dame. I don't think Pitt's football is up to par just yet, and Notre Dame has quietly been playing in the ACC this year. You hadn't heard much from them. They struggled last week with Louisville, though. And I almost took Notre Dame. I was about to bet on them. Some said, don't. No. And I'm glad I didn't because they barely, what was it, 10-6? They barely escaped that win.
12 to 6.
It was something close. So, but they barely escaped with that win. So I'm still going to take them over Pitt because I don't think Pitt's football is nowhere near where it used to be. And I'm looking forward to seeing Notre Dame actually playing some meaningful,
Yeah.
well, I can't say some meaningful games, a meaningful game in the ACC because there's only one decent team in the ACC.
Yeah,
Let's just
exactly.
call it what it is. The rest of them are a bunch of pretenders in cheerleader outfits. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just call it what it is. And Clemson is going to beat them all by probably an average of 50 to 60 points every game. Not one of their games will ever be close.
No.
Because, again, it's a bunch of pretenders in cheerleader outfits out here claiming that they play football. I think that they're going to destroy everybody they play, including Notre Dame.
Well, that's the thing. There's just such a talent disparity between Clemson and everybody else. Notre Dame is playing very well, but I'm sorry, you're going to have to score more than 12 points in order to.
First of all, another point real quick. Sorry about that.
No, you're
Why
good. Go
is
ahead.
Notre Dame even playing in the ACC? They're closer to the SEC than they are the ACC. So you're just going to skip over all of the SEC. You didn't want to ask to come play with us, huh? Because you didn't want them lumps every week. Because you didn't want to be exposed every week.
Nope.
So you'd rather go play this little weak ACC with, with the cheerleaders. But that's fine. That's fine.
Well, all right. Moving on to the most important game of the weekend, the third Saturday in October, number 2 Alabama versus Tennessee at Rocky Top. What do you got?
It depends on which Alabama team shows up, to be honest.
Yeah.
If the one shows up first half, we'll win, but it'll be close. If the one shows up that played last week second half, I think it will be total domination. But again, it's up to them to capitalize on that momentum that they have in that second half and keep it rolling, keep it moving. Keep the dominant offensive line play up. A lot more zone defense. Stop putting those guys in bad positions that got to cover all day because we're not getting pressure. Keep running the ball down people's throat. Mac Jones, keep airing that thing out with those receivers. Again, if the team that played second half because Georgia shows up, I'm going to say 41-10. If the team that played the first half shows up, I'm going to go 34-27.
You think that – oh, never mind. I was going to say you think that they'll score 27 on us, but then –
if the team that played the first half shows up,
right.
Because you got to think about something. That Tennessee team took Georgia to the first half. They worked Georgia over now. They just had a stupid targeting penalty right before the half. When they got that first down, they went on to score before. That game should have been out of hand at halftime against Georgia in Georgia.
Yeah, it should have.
Well, right. So that's why I say it depends on which Alabama team actually shows up.
That's the thing. If Tennessee can avoid mistakes, they can play with anybody. But as soon as something happens that kind of throws things off the rails, it's like they self-destruct. And I think it's a lot to do with the fact they're a young team. They're not used to winning. They're not used to overcoming adversity. So if you can get them to make mistakes, it falls into your hand. But one of the things, like you said, my question is, are we going to have a hangover coming from that big Georgia win going into Knoxville? How do you avoid that? Because Knoxville is a dangerous place to play. This is a rivalry, and Tennessee does get up for us. They did last year. We were able to actually put it out a hand later, but we had to earn it. So I'm just wondering, are we going to come in, lights out, get business done, go home, or are we just going to kind of drag around and do what we did in the first half?
Again, depends on which team shows up.
Absolutely. But we got to pick a winner. So you're going Alabama either way. So
did you expect anything else?
Oh, not at all. I just want. I know you got your cigar primed and ready to go. So I'm going to pick the 2 because we're just not going to lose to the Vols. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. I do not accept losses to the Vols. No. So we're done with that. All right. Now, as we get into close up, Marvin, again, we're going to ask you about your book. How's that going? How do we get our hands on it? Tell us everything we need to know.
The book is going, oh, my God, it has been so amazing. I was actually on Good Day Alabama yesterday. The outpouring of support after being on Good Day Alabama, oh, my God. It was like it just was going crazy, And so I just want to thank everybody for all the love and support and everything that, you've done to support me and my project. So, oh my God, Justin, yesterday was crazy.
Yeah.
when I say it was crazy, because I was sitting there and my phone was just going off, and then it's my brother at first. He's talking about, I'm sidekick famous. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they had pictures of my brother on with me on Fox 6 in Alabama. So people have been calling my brother like, you're on the news. So and then, all my other friends, and it was crazy, man. So, but it's going great. And if you have not gotten your book yet, you can get them at 40, the number 40, plus strong, PLUSS strong, plusstrong.com. The book actually has 3 different workout programs in it. And the book was written so that you could actually write in it and chart your workouts, chart your progress over time. So, it's been a great resource. All the people who have it and who started, they're having amazing results to this point, man. And I'm about to start, putting some of these stories up on my Instagram. So you can follow me at Constant45 on IG, Constant451 on Twitter. But if you want to see my success stories of all the people who've been using the book, you can go to Constant45 on IG. And again, people have been asking me to post more things related to my workouts. So I'm going to start posting more of my workouts in real time. I'm going to start actually doing more workouts on live so that you can work out with me. So I'm going to start doing a lot more things to help people out.
Good deal, man. I am so excited about how much success you're having. And what I'd like to do is have a show at some point to where we talk about the success stories. I know you've got so many things going on with it right now, but we can start putting together some great stories. I'd love just to have like a testimonial show to where we can, put it out there to people, and it can really change more lives. So, man, again, congrats on that. Deservingly so. All right, couple of things. We have some other shows besides ours. We have the Tyler Turner Show on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. A lot of great in-depth analysis, recruiting news, and great talent evaluation. So if that's your thing, check that out. Thursday nights, the Jones and Arroyo Show. They're just 2 guys from Jersey talking about the NFL, the Giants, college football, just whatever comes to mind. Check them out. It's hilarious. All right. Marvin, what do you got for us next week?
It has really been working my nerves that we cannot get pressure and sack quarterbacks. So I'm going to round up a collective group of amazing former Alabama defensive linemen / NFL players to talk about this whole issue with pressure and why we're not getting
Come on. Yes, Lord. So we're going to have a revival, in other words. We're going to have somebody give some testimony.
We're going to talk about this thing. We're going to figure out why we can't get a sack to save our lives.
I need your ID department to get a live feed going into their dorm rooms, their locker rooms, Burt cafeteria, whatever we can get our hands on, because I know you got some boys that can definitely testify to some amazing feats of defense.
Yeah, the guys who I'm thinking were all first and second round draft picks. So we're going to I've been thinking on this one for a minute because I got a lot of options, and I was just trying to figure out which options I want to take. But you'll like the lineup. Don't worry. It's going to be an amazing one.
No doubt, guys. Remember, we're taking calls now. Next week, you want to call. All right, cool. All right, let's see. If you have any questions about the show or for either one of us, we have an email address you can reach us at, the Rallying Constant Show @gmail.com. Also, remember to visit us on the sportscast.net and on Twitter at the sportscast1. All right, Marvin, before we go, got some closing remarks. And also remind everybody how they can find you online.
You can find me online, Instagram, Constant45, on my Twitter, Constant451, and on Facebook, I'm Marvin Constant. But I can't add any more people on Facebook because Facebook will not let me be great and go beyond 5,000 people. I don't know why Facebook limits you to 5,000 people. Sounds pretty dumb to me, but hey, to each his own. I don't run the platform. Right. Closing remarks. It's been another phenomenal week on and off the field for Alabama fans, Alabama players, Alabama alums alike. It's been a great week. So I just want to say, keep the momentum going. Keep supporting the guys. Don't be too hard on them. I know a lot of times we say things to be critical, but it's said with love. And sometimes that love can cut a little deep. So just be mindful of, what you say and how you say it. And at the end of the day, remember, they're still just kids. So we got to love them. We got to support them up, down, good, bad, indifferent. So with that being said, roll tide, people. Have a great night.
Absolutely. Roll Tide. Oh, don't forget, download our app. If you got an iPhone, there's no excuse. And Marvin will find you. All right. Roll Tide, and let's smoke that cigar on Thursday night, guys.
All right. See you soon.